think Logan was seeing that metal stuff that's right there on the awning. It's tore to shred on front of the parking garage. But I didn't see any concrete that was down.
You got to do something to tear apart a Type 1 reinforced concrete building.
Oh, yeah. That's Charles. Not real sure where Brandon went.
All right, folks, if you lost our feed, and I think we got knocked off when we hit the 8-hour mark, we're back on now. Welcome back into Dr. Don's weather page. Just after 3 a.m. Central, 4 a.m. Eastern, we're watching live streaming video from Lake Charles, Louisiana, as Hurricane Laura has made landfall. The backside of the eye about to move across the Lake Charles area. I caution those of you, if you're easily offended, you might want to turn the audio down here. These guys get excited. The filter kind of goes out the window. Well, we're listening to Storm Spotter crew chasing Hurricane Laura.
I want you to pull up.
Oh, yeah.
I want you to hand me that. Yeah, I'm looking at that damn crane from this angle.
Dude, that crane's legit. No, that's good look right there.
Yep, that's what I saw. That's what I saw.
Please comment and let us know where you're watching from this morning.
That's fine, I got it.
Hello? It'll be coming out in just a minute.
Hey, Brandon Brown, we out in Frog Eye, Alabama.
Charles too, that I'm about to send up with some damage as well. So
There's Sharon Willis, Alexander City.
those up here in just a few minutes. Yeah, it'll come across through the email system. All right, thanks. What?
It's not collapsed.
Is it not?
No, that's a feeder system.
That ain't good.
Yeah, it goes down to the ship. It's got a knuckle right there.
That ain't. I like this little wind gust.
That was so hard.
Wedowee, Alabama in the house.
Yeah, I didn't like that. That ain't gonna look good.
There's Brandon right there.
He's still up there.
He's behind the,
Wedowee, Alabama in the house. LaGrange, Georgia. Roanoke, Alabama. Foster's Crossroads. Good morning, Michelle. Good morning, Rachel. There's Lafayette, Alabama. Good morning, Tracy. Good morning, Pat Ray. Jennifer is watching us in 5 Points, Alabama.
You want to go check some stuff out?
All right, y'all don't get too brave now.
All right. Give me some, give me that chip. Here comes a... All right. Let them out. We can...
For those of you that are just joining us, this is a parking deck at one of the casinos in Lake Charles. And most of the media has been held up in this parking deck through the first part of the storm. The second part of the storm is about to move over this same area, though it should not be quite as strong as the first part was. You're listening to Storm Chasers. This particular crew is Brett Adair. They're in Lake Charles, Louisiana.
If it works.
I'm gonna go park somewhere.
Man, we can.
We're gonna go park. Huh?
Find anything?
Oh, yeah, I found plenty.
Yeah, well, there's a couple buildings that's got a little minor damage, but
I don't know if y'all saw it, but the front side of the parking deck got blown in. Like, we go up there, top floor, Brett has the video, but it's blown all, like, it's fucking...
All right, so we're going to just take a look at some other live feeds and see if we see anything of any great interest. All right, here's Orange, Texas. We've had several people asking about Orange. Here's what it looks like in Orange, Texas right now. Still pretty windy. You can see that light pole shaking pretty good right there on the left-hand side of the screen. We lost all of our traffic cameras that we were watching last night at around 12:18 this morning in Lake Charles.
Spinners on top of us a while ago.
Most likely due to power failure to the entire city, I would think.
On their location. Yeah. And it could have been that one little thing we felt. Yeah. It'd be pretty random to be right here.
Micro vortex.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we actually have one of them back up, but it's so dark you can't see anything on it, so I'm not even going to bother with showing that one.
What's back there behind us? Just a big row of trees, or
Looks like.
you roll your window down now? See what's over
Let's
there?
see. I'm getting a little water coming in. Yeah, it's just a big grove of trees.
Okay, I found one that I do want to take. This is Galveston Bay. And I want you to look at how far it is out there to the water.
I said just go out towards orange to that, area of yellow.
Let me take their audio down. And I want you to look. This is Galveston Bay. Actually, it's East Galveston Bay. And look how far out that water is. Earlier, it was all the way up to where you see that flag. But now that the storm has made landfall, and Galveston would be on the left-hand side of the storm, so the wind flow is offshore at Galveston. And this is what I was telling you earlier. We had several people down there in the Houston, Galveston area that was watching us that were concerned. But I told you, you probably would have less water than you normally do as this storm makes landfall because you're on the clean side of the storm, and it's pulling water back out into the Gulf of Mexico. And that's here's evidence of what I'm talking about right there. The water is really pushed back out into the ocean. So no flooding problems at all down in that part of Texas. And I'm going to see if there's any chance. Yeah, we got that one back too. Then this is, well, what you're looking at is what's called East Beach Galveston. This is East Galveston Bay. I really can't tell a whole lot about it because it is so dark. Now, the one that I really wish that I could get back is the one at the bridge over the river in Lake Charles. Let me try to force it to refresh and see what happens. Yeah, we've just lost all the cameras on I-10 in Lake Charles. So back to the storm chasing cameras. And let's see, that again, that is Orange, Texas. Several questions tonight about how things are in Orange, Texas. Houston is fine. See a question there about Houston, Texas. And that's from Rachel. Thank you for asking, Rachel. Houston is just fine. Houston just to the north of Galveston. And everything is perfectly fine in Houston, Galveston. For the most part, Beaumont, yeah, it's stormy in Beaumont. There's some wind blowing around in Beaumont, but Beaumont never took the brunt of the eye wall itself. It has certainly had several feeder bands move through, and some tornadic-type thunderstorms move through Beaumont, but the eye wall itself did not touch Beaumont. The ground zero is going to be Cameron, Louisiana, and Lake Charles. Orange, Texas is pretty close. But I think the bulk of the damage when the sun comes up is going to be If you draw a line from Cameron up to Lake Charles, and then on up to the north, DeRuyter, I hope I'm saying that right, DeRuyter, Louisiana, is about to get into that eye wall. Then north of that would be Leesville. Let me see if I can get some other points here for you. DeQuincy just came out of the eye wall. Newton, and that's going to be in Texas. Newton, Texas. I think that's in Texas. Yes, it is. We'll see that eye wall. And then if she holds together long enough, points to the north of Leesville, we'll see it also. And I got to tell you, we've got a little bit of dry air trying to pull into it, but for the most part, she still looks pretty healthy. Let's just see. How far inland she is. All right, so the center of the eye wall is now 43 miles inland. Landfall was at Cameron, Louisiana, about 2.5 hours ago. Maybe 3 hours ago now. And so, yeah, that's about right because she's moving north at 15 miles per hour. So a little over 2 hours ago, she made landfall around Cameron, Louisiana. And now the center of the eye wall is about DeQuincy. The center of the eye wall is about 12 miles northwest of downtown Lake Charles at this hour. You're watching live Hurricane Laura coverage on Dr. Don's weather page. Been going now for about 8.5 hours. We started at 8 o'clock Central Time on Wednesday. It is now 3:27 a.m. Central on your Thursday morning. And we appreciate all you folks that have hung in here with us all night long. We did have to reset our feed about 20 minutes ago because we reached that magical 8-hour limit that is imposed by Facebook, and had to reset our feed. The wind picking up again pretty strong right there in Orange, Texas. You can see that live feed there from the storm chaser Bob Pack. And you're very welcome, Rachel Cato. She says she has family in Beaumont and Houston, Texas. And folks, if you'd like to support our efforts here at Dr. Don's weather page, you can go to paypal.me/Dr. Don WX. That's DRDONWX. And we appreciate your support. Anything you can do to help us. There's nothing too small. There's nothing too big. We appreciate everything you can do to help us. There's a lot of cost involved in equipment and services to do this. And so we'd appreciate any tips that you could give us. We love tips. Any donation you can give us to help support our efforts, we appreciate it. And if you'll scroll up in the comments, I'll just give it out there to you again. There's the link. If you'd like to support us, we really would appreciate it. Well, yeah, I know. I'm trying to get down there to the new messages. For some reason, I can't scroll up or down. Oh, there we go. Good morning, Cindy Roberts. Cindy has family in Galveston and Morgan City. I think you're going to be fine in both locations. I know Galveston's going to be fine, and other than a tornado threat earlier, Morgan City, and I'll just take you down there right quick and show you what the radar looks like. There's Morgan City. Morgan City is southwest of Thibodaux, and a little bit to the west and north of Houma, Louisiana. And right now, just some light rain showers. That's about it. Now, earlier in the evening, we did have some pretty heavy thunderstorms move over that area that were capable of producing tornadoes, but that has since moved off to the west and north of Morgan City, so they should be just fine down there. So your family in Galveston and Morgan City should be sleeping well about right now. It did maintain its strength. It was 150 mile per hour when it made landfall, and as of about an hour ago, which I think was the last time I saw an update from the National Hurricane Center, it was still maintaining Category 4. Let me just go over here and see if I can grab the latest update. All right, this will be the 1 a.m. advisory. Be the last thing they issued. Yeah, it was still at maximum sustained winds were still 150 miles per hour at 1 a.m. Here's a 2:30 a.m. local. Well, wait a minute. Here's a 3 a.m. Let's see what's in here. All right, this was 32 minutes ago. Okay, as of 3 a.m., maximum sustained winds 130 miles per hour. So only lost about 20 mile per hour sustained winds so far. We've had wind gusts reported up to 117 miles per hour at Waterflow in Cameron. We had a wind gust of 132 miles per hour reported in Lake Charles. That was, trying to see if there's a time on that. I do not see a time on that. 132 mile per hour wind gust at the University of Florida observing tower. All right, so let's go back to Lake Charles. Let's see if Brett is back up. No, we lost Brett. Let's see if Brad is with us. Brad is. Can't really see anything there, though. Brad's got his skiing goggles on. Cindy Roberts is asking the question about the weather in Wedowee, Alabama this weekend. Yeah, for the most part, I think we're going to be okay. There certainly could be some strong storms from time to time on Friday night into Saturday, as tropical, well, it will be a depression at that time. Laura moves through Kentucky from west to east. It'll be pulling moisture up off the Gulf of Mexico. So we could see some showers and tropical type showers in the afternoon, and there is a remote chance that we could see some severe weather. It's hard to say right now. We're going to get a little bit closer and see how that develops. But I would remain weather aware if you're in Alabama or Georgia, and certainly Tennessee and Mississippi, Friday, Saturday, and then over into the Carolinas on Sunday. Good morning, Sarah. DeQuincy, Louisiana Fire Department has lost a bay door. Kimberland is Kimberland Michelle, excuse me. I've been talking now for about 9 hours, so my voice is about shot. Kimberly Michelle says that her uncle is a firefighter in Lake Charles. Talked to him around 8 p.m. and they were prepared for the storm. Please keep him and his team and all essential workers who couldn't leave in their prayer. And I'll tell you this much, Kimberly, I can associate with the situation your uncle is in. I was a firefighter for 16 years in Roanoke, Alabama. 19, I'm tired now, 1995. Was it 95 or 96 when Opal came through? 96, I think. I had just joined the fire department, and we had 90 to 100 mile per hour winds that night in Roanoke, Alabama. Nothing like what your Uncle John has faced in Lake Charles. I've seen reports of 130 miles per hour. So there's massive tree damage and most likely a good bit of structural damage too. So it's going to be a long night for him and his crew, even into tomorrow. It's going to take a while to clean up from something like this. So my thoughts are with your uncle, Kimberly, and thank you for sharing that with us. I'm going to check another camera or two. All right, here's a new one. This is Nick Busby in Sulphur, Louisiana. This is just west of Lake Charles, out there on I-10. This is pretty much a suburb of Lake Charles. All right, so folks, here's the plan. I do weather for several different outlets, including some radio stations, and I've got to get my weather packages put together for today's weather forecast. Typically, I have that out by 4 a.m. Central Time, and I have been live since 8 p.m. last night. Didn't intend on staying live so long, but the video that we've had has just been absolutely incredible, so it's been hard to pull away from it. But here's the plan. It is 3:42 a.m. Central. I'm going to take this to the top of the hour with our live coverage here on Dr. Don's weather page, and then we're going to put our live coverage to bed for the night, so that I can get my weather packages out and catch a few hours sleep. And then once the sun comes up good and we can really start getting a good look at the damage, I'll be back. So we're going to stay with this for about another 17 minutes or so. Then we're going to put this coverage to bed. I'm going to take a break right quick. You're watching live streaming video coming from Sulphur, Louisiana, which is just west of downtown Lake Charles, the backside of Hurricane Laura, now moving over this particular area. I'll leave the feed up for you, and I'll be back in here with you in just a minute to wrap things up on Dr. Don's weather page. All right, let's check on another feed or two before we wrap things up. Let's see who else we've got in here. Maybe. No, Brett's not back. We lost him completely. And that's Brad. Brad is in Lake Charles. Things look pretty good there in Lake Charles right now. We've got the backside of the eye wall just coming over this area. But things don't look nearly as bad on the backside of this as it did earlier on the front side. Well, let's see what else we can. Let's go back to Orange, Texas for just a minute. Yeah, I don't think the backside of the storm is going to be nearly what the front side was. I mean, that northern eye wall just exploded right on top of Lake Charles, Louisiana. They had storm tops at 50,000 feet. That's 20,000 feet higher than commercial airliners fly, to put that into some perspective. And at that height, you can certainly get that 150 mile per hour wind to mix down to the surface. So we've seen reports as high as 130, a little over 130 miles per hour around Lake Charles. But when all the data is collected, it's not going to surprise me at all to see some wind gust in the 140 mile an hour range between Cameron and Lake Charles, because with storms that tall, you're going to get mixing all the way down to the ground. And where those gusts took place, it's going to look like a war zone, I can tell you. There's just not much that can withstand that kind of wind. Have not seen a ton of information about flooding, though I know it's taking place. We've got a warning from the National Weather Service that says be aware that surge is coming up the Calcasieu Ship Channel. I don't know what flood stage is on that channel. I don't know what normal is, but it's saying that the Lake Charles Civic Center has risen 4 feet in just the past hour, and that was at 4:43. So that was about 30 minutes ago. Here's a new advisory from the Hurricane Center. Let's see what it says. We're going to wrap things up here in about 9 minutes at the top of the hour. All right, so here's the latest information. Laura moving northwest over southwestern Louisiana. About 50 miles northwest of Lake Charles. That's the center of the eye. Or about 80 miles northeast of Port Arthur, Texas. Maximum sustained winds are still 120 miles per hour. Present movement is north at about 15 miles per hour. And they're looking at some structure damage right there in Orange, Texas. So that puts Laura still at Category 3 hurricane strength, well inland. Hurricane force winds are now extending outward up to 60 miles from the center of the storm. And tropical storm force winds 175 miles from the center of the storm. But still a Category 3. And still a Category 3, 55 miles inland. So that's still pretty impressive. All right, we got about 6 minutes left of our coverage, so let me go to our Southern Union State Community College live HD radar, and let's kind of show you what's going on here before we put this coverage to bed. And you can see Hurricane Laura now just north of Lake Charles, Louisiana, continuing to move off to the north. DeRuyter, Louisiana is now taking the brunt of the eye wall. You see that real dark red area there. That's going to rotate right through DeRuyter, and that is some serious wind right there, no question about it. Ground zero was Cameron, Louisiana. Laura made landfall shortly after midnight as a Category 4 hurricane and continued on north. We were watching live video streams as it came through Lake Charles, and it was ugly. So what happens now? Well, Laura's going to continue to move off to the north, come very close to the Texas state line, and then turn a little bit more north-northeast. We'll come very close to Shreveport, Louisiana, and then up into the state of Arkansas. Should turn somewhere around Little Rock and turn off back to the northeast. We'll come very close to Jonesboro, and then either clip the extreme northwest corner of Tennessee or maybe the southwest or southeast corner of Missouri and end up in Kentucky, and then come across most likely Bowling Green, Blackshear, maybe just a little bit south of Lynchburg, Virginia, and then out into the Atlantic. So what does that mean for the rest of the southeastern United States? Well, as Laura makes that turn back across Kentucky, she's still going to be pulling moisture out of the Gulf of Mexico. So we're going to see a lot of moisture as the storm makes this type of turn and ends up out here by Saturday evening or Sunday. It is going to, let's say for instance, when it's in this general vicinity here, it's going to be pulling moisture up off the Gulf of Mexico. It'll be coming up and wrapping around that center like so. So as the storm moves to the east, it's going to continue to pull moisture up to the north. You know, I didn't do well in kindergarten, so forgive my drawing. But as the storm moves off to the east, it'll be pulling moisture up off the Gulf of Mexico. It'll be streaming north. Like so. You get the idea. So when that takes place, it all depends on how strong she still is, how quickly the high pressure up here over North Carolina, retreats off to the east or southeast. But this storm has to have moisture off the Gulf of Mexico to survive, so it's going to start starving to death once it gets up into Arkansas and Kentucky. So it's going to be pumping and trying real hard to get that moisture off the Gulf of Mexico, and all that moisture is going to be streaming north. So as it moves east, we're going to see bands of showers and thunderstorms coming off the Gulf of Mexico, streaming up across Alabama and Georgia. I think the timing on that, Friday evening probably across East Alabama into Saturday morning, across most of Georgia, late Friday into probably noon or early afternoon Saturday. And then for the Carolinas, Saturday night into Sunday morning is when we'll see most of the rain up there. And you can look out here in the Gulf of Mexico right now and see what I'm talking about. You see this long tail way back out into the Gulf of Mexico. That's the storm pulling moisture up off the Gulf of Mexico and wrapping around the center of the storm. And that's what's going to happen when it gets up here. It has to pull it from the Gulf of Mexico. There's no other body of water to get the fuel from. So you'll see showers and thunderstorms forming down here in the Gulf, and they'll stream all the way up through Alabama, Tennessee, and up into Kentucky, where the center of circulation will be by that time. So, folks, I've got to go because I've got to get my weather packages together for radio. We've been going now for about 9 hours, started at 8 o'clock Central on Wednesday evening. Did not intend to go this long, but I never do. It always ends up being a long night, especially when there's a lot to talk about. D-Rider. Thank you, Rogers. I appreciate that. I know that I'm butchering the name of some of those places in Louisiana. Thank you, George. We appreciate you watching us. Thank you, Kimberlyn. Cindy Roberts, thank you. Appreciate all the comments tonight. And again, if you'd like to help us out, just go over to paypal.me/Dr. Don WX. You can go to our website, drdonwx.com. There's all kind of information on there about what we do. For those of you that have been watching us all across the globe over the last 9 hours, from Australia to Egypt to Texas to New York City, we appreciate you. God bless you all. And I'll be back in here a little later on with some coverage after we get the sun up and we can see some of the damage. And I get a few hours shut-eye. Until we meet again, good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. We'll see you back in here soon on Dr. Don's Weather Page.